The cable company said our address has been flagged by federal investigators. I'd only called to complain about our internet speed. My husband Garrett worked from home, and lately, our connection had been crawling. Ma'am, the technician said after a long pause, I'm showing unusual activity on your account. Multiple business-grade connections, encrypted tunnels, and I need to transfer you to our security department. The security specialist was even more cryptic. Mrs. Hoffman, we've been instructed by federal authorities to monitor this address. I can't provide more information, but perhaps you should speak with other members of your household about their internet usage. I hung up, confused. Garrett was a freelance graphic designer. What could he possibly be doing that would interest federal investigators? When he got home from his co-working space that evening, I mentioned the call casually. His face went pale. They must be mistaken. Probably meant a different address. But that night, I heard him on the phone in his office, whispering urgently, "They're on to us. The ISP flagged it. We need to shut everything down." The next morning, Garrett left early, saying he had a client meeting. I decided to check his office, though I'd always respected that as his private workspace. What I found made no sense. Behind his design portfolios were stacks of shipping manifests, all for packages going to different addresses, but originating from our house. His computer had multiple browsers open with marketplace listings for electronics, designer goods, and jewelry, all marked as sold, but with tracking numbers that led nowhere. Then I found the folder labeled returns. Inside were hundreds of photographs of damaged items, broken laptops, smashed watches, torn designer bags, but in the metadata of each photo, the items were pristine. He'd been editing them to look destroyed. The doorbell rang, interrupting my investigation. 2 FBI agents stood on our porch. "Mrs. Hoffman, we need to ask you about packages shipped from this address." They explained that Garrett had been running a massive return fraud operation. He'd buy expensive items, claim they arrived damaged, get refunds while keeping the originals, then sell them online. The edited photos, the encrypted connections to hide his IP while creating fake accounts, the business-grade internet to manage hundreds of transactions simultaneously. It was all part of an operation that had defrauded companies out of nearly $3 million. "Your husband isn't at a co-working space," one agent said gently. "He's been running this operation from a warehouse unit downtown. We raided it this morning." The warehouse contained thousands of items, electronics still in boxes, designer clothes with tags, jewelry and display cases. Garrett had recruited a team of 6 people to help process orders. They called themselves the Return Kings, and even had branded t-shirts. When they arrested Garrett, he tried to blame me, claiming I was the mastermind. But the evidence was clear. Every account traced back to his devices, his fingerprints were on every package, and his team testified he'd recruited them personally. The most insulting part? In his ledger, he'd marked our joint savings as emergency fund for when wife finds out. He'd been planning to run if I discovered the truth. At trial, the prosecutor showed a video Garrett had made for his team, a training guide on how to gaslight your spouse about federal investigations. In it, he actually practiced the exact words he'd used when I'd mentioned the cable company call. He'd known this day would come and rehearsed lying to me. He got 8 years in federal prison. The government seized everything, our house, cars, even my legitimate savings. I had to move in with my sister and start over. The cable company sent me a letter apologizing for any inconvenience and offering 3 months free service at my new address. Last week, I got a collect call from federal prison. It was Garrett asking if I could put money in his commissary account. He said he'd found a way to make it up to me, a new business opportunity he'd learned about from his cellmate. Something about cryptocurrency and only slightly illegal. I hung up and blocked the number. The FBI agent had been right about one thing. When someone's internet activity triggers federal monitoring, it's never about streaming too much Netflix. It's about a husband you trusted running a multi-million-dollar fraud ring from your guest room while you made him lunch every day. My new apartment has the most basic internet package available. 20 megabytes, barely enough to stream. But at least I know it won't attract federal attention. That's become my new standard for success, not being investigated by the FBI.